God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Hi neighbor, welcome to another walking episode of Anchors of Encouragement. My name is Tim Maudlin, husband, adoptive parent, disciple of Christ, and ambassador of encouragement. I'm coming to you today from my outdoor studio, and I'm joined today by my co-host Bruno. He's my dog and walking buddy. Just before I began recording this episode, Bruno and I have been walking through the yard as I collect my thoughts. You might hear him walking and rustling some of the leaves up. I hope Bruno doesn't bark at a squirrel or bird. Actually, the squirrels are barking at me right now. I hope he doesn't come up begging for a treat. Those are things I can't control. And right on cue, Bruno is coming over to me to get a treat. Let me give him a treat. There you go, bud. Hopefully he won't make too much noise. But if he does, he does. That's something I can't control. And that gets me to the concept I want to share with you today. You might recognize the quote that I shared in the beginning of this episode. That's commonly known as the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I can't control whether Bruno is going to walk around me or wag his tail into the leaves. You can hear him walking right now. I can't control that unless I put him up. But I wanted him out here to get some exercise, and I wanted him out here to help illustrate this point and the story I want to share with you to explain this concept. Serenity is defined as a state of being calm, peaceful, and untroubled. Something happened last night that left me concerned because when I went to take care of the dogs, I opened our dog pen. As soon as the door opened, Bruno's grandma, Remy, burst through the door. I called for her. I got some treats. I got the leash to try to bring her back. But Remy has a mind of her own. And we got her as a rescue dog. And to this day, she just will do what she wants to do. So whenever I walk her, she's on a leash. Bruno I've had as a puppy. And Bruno and I have gotten to the point where he stays pretty close to me. I can leave him off the leash. Well, I knew with Remy, unfortunately, she wasn't going to come back until she was ready. I went out a few times last night and called her. I could hear her off in the distance barking, but she was not ready to come back. That was something that I couldn't control. I just prayed that she didn't get out in the road and get hit. And rather than stew on it, I just said it is what it is, and I just hope she didn't get hurt. Well, this morning, she was at the back door, and she was ready to go back in her pen. I went in the house, got a couple of treats, got her leash, and put her on the leash. She didn't balk at all, and we walked up to the pen. I put her back in the pen, gave her her treats, and thankfully, she's okay. As I was walking back down to the house, though, it was well before dawn, and I looked up in the sky. The moon had already set, and the sky was pitch black, and the stars were as bright as they could be. There was a real feeling of calmness and peacefulness, serenity. I think about that time this morning and realized that I did what I could. I just left it in God's hands, praying that she would be okay, and thankfully she was. There's one other story I want to share with you, and this is about my adoption journey. Before we even adopted our first son, there was a time when, because of a misunderstanding with our lawyer and our birth mother, the adoption for a time we thought was off. In fact, our lawyer told us we should start looking for another birth mother. We were devastated. We were back to square one. As we tried to regroup and figure out what we were going to do, a few weeks passed. Then one day I was at the office and got a call from the lawyer. He said our birth mother had reached out to him. The adoption was back on. Later, as we talked to our birth mother, she told us that in her mind, the adoption was never off. It was a misunderstanding from the lawyer. But I remember vividly, as soon as I hung up the phone, I turned to my boss and I said, well, today I became a dad. And what I meant by that was this. I knew the adoption was back on, but I didn't know if our birth mother would sign the papers once he was delivered. But for those few months that we still had to go in the pregnancy, I determined I was going to be the best dad I could be to Johnny. And hopefully, I would be able to be his dad even after the delivery. There was a sense of serenity that I had because I gave it to God. It was out of my control. Nothing I could do could make her sign those papers. But I could see to it that she had the resources and the doctor's appointments to keep her healthy and safe and to keep him healthy and safe. And that's what we did. Let's get to your daily doable and see how this can be applied in your life. There's one other thing that I haven't mentioned yet. And this is something that goes hand in hand with the Serenity Prayer. It's a passage that I put into play, a principle I put into play from the book of Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. And let me read those verses to you. There, Paul says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all comprehension, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." And by putting this principle of Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7 into play, I experienced a peace that was beyond comprehension. It's hard to describe because there were still some challenging moments through the end of the pregnancy. But we got there. We made it. And thanks be to God, we were able to take him home the day after he was born. What I would like to encourage you to do in this daily doable, if you are experiencing anxiety, worry, things are not going the best, apply the principle of the Serenity Prayer. Learn how to accept the things you cannot change. Have the courage to change the things you can. And then ask for the wisdom to know the difference. I would encourage you with pen to paper, copy that prayer down, commit it to memory. But I would also encourage you to copy Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7 down. Because those verses are what gave me the anchor I needed to navigate that difficult time in our adoption journey. And those verses are the same anchors that have helped me throughout the other challenges we've faced in our adoption journey. Can you have serenity? Can you have peace of mind? Can you be calm and untroubled in your adoption journey? Yes, you can. You can get that support and you can get that anchor if you will apply these principles in your life. Before I go, I would like to invite you to become a member of our Facebook community. It's a safe space. It's a place where you can find support in your adoption journey. There are other adoptive parents like myself who you can lean on, who you can receive support from. And there are individuals who aren't adoptive parents in the group, but they are there because they want to be supporters of you. Please see the show notes for the link. I hope you'll join us. Until next time, this is Tim, encouraging you to do what you can now.